This is an unprecedented time for Beyblade news, because I did talk about someone who did report some future Beyblade names from, I guess, some listings, and considering that one of them ended up being 100% accurate and true, we got a lot to talk about in this video. So if you are new here and like bays that spin, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts, and as well, make sure to check out Mall of Bays. We import from Japan and we are Canadian based. It is an optional way to support the channel. I appreciate any and all support regardless. So originally I was pretty skeptical on this leak just because it was kind of rare that we did actually get any real info like that. You know, they were right. I mean, hey, let's just talk about it a little bit more in depth, more focusing on Phoenix Flare. And there is more reason to doing this video, mostly because now that we know like 100% all these parts are confirmed and everything, well, I'll say 100%. I mean, if one of them was true, it's very unlikely that the other one was false. It does seem to basically follow some potentially, and I'm assuming maybe they got some type of store listing or some info like that on like the name and everything. So that does mean that it is very, very likely that not only are we going to get Phoenix in January, but we pretty much know a little bit about it. And I do have some interesting extra little speculation, plus also trying to speculate on the February stuff that kind of leads into it. So in terms of how narratively this kind of makes sense in the story, I mean, like, this has already basically been kind of pushed that every single season Burn Fujiwara wants to push for the Bay time shift. So I guess every single season we're just gonna see him just go through all the different types of bays for his Phoenix Beyblade. But in terms of kind of what direction I think they could take, I do want to first go over the previous Phoenix bays, what they did right, and some of them what they did wrong. That will kind of lead into our discussion for how I think they're actually going to do the possible great design of a defense Phoenix Beyblade in Beyblade X. So in just talking about Phoenix Wing, obviously at its debut is one of the heaviest blades in Beyblade X, giving some very strong and powerful attack. But it also made it very versatile because of the heavy weights. It could pretty much weight bully on any type possible and had a long-lasting presence, even honestly still used to this day. It's not as crazy compared to some of the top blades like Scale or Hover right now. But I feel like what it did right is just a heavy three-bladed shape. And in the case in here, I think the weights really did add to it. You know, I don't think Phoenix had some incredible shape, but it lasted this long. It did that well. So, and I would say, and I hope this isn't a hot take, I still think Phoenix Wing is very usable in the current meta. Like, Hover Wyvern can destabilize opponents and get some pretty big KOs, but you know, I still think Wing can be used. Like, its other competition, I guess, would be like Shark Scale off the top of my head, where that has a pretty good shape and design, which in all honesty, you know, that's not too bad. You know, like, it's probably like third best attacker. I think it's fine. I don't really think it did anything really wrong. Then you move on to Phoenix Rudder, where I feel the biggest failure in this was not even just the design, but this was a pretty light stamina type blade, and well, it was kind of close to like Wizard Rod in weight. When you actually look at when Phoenix actually dominated, it did actually need a lot of that weight and design to do a very heavy like smash to opponents, which is kind of what the current Shark Scale does in the meta, where this is also why I'll mention, like, hey, even though Scorpio Spear, I don't know if people still like it, it is, I would say, a decent stamina option, because it has a round shape, but does heavy weights bully the opponents. So in Phoenix Rudder wasn't really that good of a stamina shape and wasn't really that good for attack. It literally had nothing it could possibly do, which is why I'm super, super hoping not only can we at least get a decent shape on the upcoming Phoenix, but I hope the weight on it can be good. Because if you look at the history for the blades that have succeeded, as I've just talked about, it's either the shape's gotta be good or that weight's gotta carry it. So now as we get to the actual main discussion, you do want to shout out Frosty Art, because they did amazing artwork that I'll be showcasing in this video. Link in the description, and please support them in any way you can. Commission them for work. They do great stuff. But for Phoenix, one of the cool things that I thought that Frosty really did here is one thing I'm kind of looking for and hoping that they do this is that they give Phoenix Flare the metal coat. The metal coat is like one of the most iconic things about this blade, and it really irked me about the Cobalts, like the Drake and Cobalt Dragoon and onwards, that it was kind of abandoned. I personally think we probably won't get a metal coat, and they'll just give it kind of just like that basic silver. Now, in terms of the shape and design, something that I really like that Frosty did is that if you're gonna make a good defense type, you basically almost have to make it virtually a stamina type. And I think his design choice of not only having it be kind of a really well-rounded off shape, but basically almost, if we were to look at this, it's quite honestly just like Phoenix Wing but rounder. And I think that's the direction that you should take. Now, I'm really really hoping, and I know this is going to be a very slim chance, but they keep onwards to the progression of what they've been doing good with the custom line right now, where I know some may disagree, but a lot of the weight creep and that stuff actually has helped the custom line quite a bit. Like the heavy assist blade was pretty useful. Blast, Eclipse, those super heavy ones are actually getting used. So I would say they need to keep up more in that regard. Also Might, for an example. And I think Phoenix being like, let's say like a 32 or 33 grams of range would be very nice and useful. Like the last one with Wolf, which was a stamina type, and you know, they might do a little bit similar around, was I think not even 32 grams for the main blade. And I'm saying the custom line actually needs this because they're not really that good or consistent. So you need to give them something, and I'm really hoping that we eventually see that they actually give this some type of weight, hopefully. Because if we do, that would be pretty interesting to actually see, because a lot of these lighter main blades can't really get used, or there's no real reason over a lot more of the consistent options. Now we pretty much got that done for talking about the design, what direction I think they could take. I want to talk about the assist blade. Now, in my opinion, I think the assist blades should follow the idea of wheel or heavy onwards. They do need to actually be heavy in weight. Otherwise, again, it's going to be the same issue with the custom line, where the general system I don't really think has that good of a design, and it's only really working well because of the fact they're making it really heavy, which I guess either way, it works out in its favor. But I was trying to think, what could they do for a Z assist blade? It can't be Zap. Zap was already taken. I was thinking maybe, and this is a little bit of a crazy idea, but I was thinking of the word Zenith, and then I thought, oh shit, that would be actually pretty cool. If you remember from Beyblade Burst, Zenith was basically a three-sided blade, and it had small sections of rubber there. Now in reality for Zenith, not only did it not really make any actual contact with the blades for its goal, it just really supported the Cho-Z Valkyrie shape of that release, but the rubber also wasn't really that useful, because rubber attack is not really something that, no matter how many times they advertise it, rubber will shock absorb. But here's what I thought. Why not just reuse that same concept but as an assist blade? And I think that works out extremely well in the favor of Phoenix. You have rubber that can shock absorb and dampen the blow. You can have Phoenix with a round shape to, let's say, parry off or have good stamina. I actually think that this would be not only an interesting gimmick for an assist blade, because otherwise, what are you going to do for Phoenix? Like, actually sit here and think for a second. Other than, let's say, if they give metal weight, what could they do for an assist blade that actually would make them relevant and interesting for you to actually care for? Put rubber on it. Why not? Put limited sections of rubber. I think that would be a pretty good idea. It reinforces the idea of defense. I think it could be something interesting to see. But the last part I do want to mention is going to be the bit variant, which is apparently supposed to be wall wedge. The thing with a wall bit is that they do have 16 gears, but the thing with wedge is that it has 10 gears. So are we going to get like an in-between? Are we going to get just like a 12 gear bit or something? The issue with a lot of bits in their design is that some of them might have not that bad of a design, but the gear ratio really hurts them quite a bit, because I don't think there's been a case where any bit that has had a high gear ratio has actually done good in the meta. And like even bits like Level that do actually have a high gear ratio, like Level is good for the shape and design. It's not really good because the gears are actually the big weakness to it. So, you know, Wedge, it's a bit, if you're wondering how good Wedge is, Wedge, I would say once you get like a ratchet that can hold on to it, or a bit if it's a little bit tight, it's actually pretty good stamina. I don't think the defense is super insane. I think paired with something aggressive, like maybe like a Shark Scale or a Phoenix Wing, it does have a lot of purpose and a lot of reason to actually get used. So to have it as a wall bit, I'm just trying to think like maybe that could have some type of stamina, but also wall bits are 1 millimeter taller. And that's where I'm kind of thinking it's like, I think the bit might be dead. But I do think the rest of the parts could have some potential in the speculation that we're doing with zero actual information. But the other part I did want to actually tackle also is that I looked at the previous years trying to see when did we actually get news. And I think in the first year, once we got like to January or whatever, they did throw us like Phoenix and I think Unicorn Sting on the same time. But this year was Golem Rock, that was for January, and then Shelter Drake, that was for February. So we're not going to probably get any news in December. We might just get the manga chapter preview, which is probably the direction I think they're going to be going. But the last thing I wanted to touch on was, since none of this is going to matter until we get more info, the February random booster. I do also want to just throw some speculation here. Most of that I just think it has to in some way be connected to Pendragon, because I feel like back to back, and we just look at the fact that Impact Drake was December, and then after February was Shelter Drake. I have a feeling maybe we might get something like, potentially, maybe we get like a Shell Beyblade, again, as a prize basic line random booster. Or we could finally get like a new Tiger Bay. That's where we're gonna do some speculation, and maybe we'll do like a future discussion video. But I personally think that it's kind of ridiculous that Sigrid, or Shigeru, does not literally have anything. She has one Weiss Tiger, that's all they gave her. Chrome has like Cobalt Drake, Cobalt Dragoon, Impact Drake, probably Meteor Dragoon. Seal has Shell and Shelter Drake. They gotta do something there. But yeah, but I mean, that's kind of it for this video. So, just a little fun little speculation video. Wanted to get it out and just thought it'd be kind of cool to have a nice discussion. But that's gonna be kind of it for this video. So I do want to say thank you all for watching. What are your thoughts and speculation? And that's gonna be it for now. Take care and bye.